Hello, hello. It's Claudia from the Natural Vision Institute. I'm known as the Holistic Vision Coach. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We talk about everything related to vision. And today is a super important topic about a bodily fluid that you might have never thought to put together with the eyes. And I bringing on the queen, the queen of lymph, Kelly Kennedy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I'm so excited to talk to your community and to you about this because it is top of the mind, top of the eyes. It's important.
So it's funny because we recently met, we hung out in Tampa together, and you gave me your book, which is amazing. And I left it on the plane. I started reading it and I'm thinking, maybe that's a sign that I don't need to worry about my lymph. But tell us, lymph, what is lymph and how do we know there is an issue with our flow of lymph?
Great question. And I would reframe that was making it very important for you to move your lymph because we can't live without lymph for 1 minute. We actually have 3 times more lymph than we do blood. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, we have 3 times more lymph than blood, right? And if you're listening, did you know that? Does anybody here know about the lymph system? Have you even heard this term? And I had only because my dad had cancer when I grew up. He had a lot of cancer, so lymph was a common word. But when I went through my own journey, as we all do, through healing, through really finding the truth at the bottom of all of the wells that we look down, once we find truth, we stay. And I found the truth in 1996 about how the body heals. And then I was just interested in being able to apply that same thing to every person so that they were free from symptoms. And if they got symptoms, they knew how to get themselves out of symptoms, whether that was I can't see, I have puffy eyes when I wake up in the morning, I have stiff joints, maybe I'm constipated, maybe I get headaches, maybe my cycle's off, maybe I have too many menopause symptoms, maybe I can't eat all the foods that I want. And that for me is limitation, not life. And life is about being unlimited and free. So through my own journey and my study, I found that the common denominator for all of life is this lymphatic fluid. And it's, we talk about eyes, we think about eye pressure sometimes. And the fluid in the body is completely regulated. Its fluid pressure is completely regulated by your lymphatic system. So if we
Crazy.
want it, right, and a lot of people have floaters, that's a lymphatic stagnancy. And as we open the drainage and we allow this lymph that's been stagnant for most people to finally move, anything can cause anything. But what we see is across the board, I sleep better, I poop better, I feel better, and I'm not as symptomatic. And when I do, I know what to do now. And that's, I mean, we're about, in the United States anyway, I know you're a very global impact, Claudia, and in the United States, we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I have so much gratitude for this body, for this vessel, for our lymphatic system, and for the tools that I've been able to decipher to give to everyone so that you too can feel free. Because it doesn't matter what country we live in, as we all know, if we don't have healthcare freedom, if we don't feel free in our health, then we aren't. And the last 5 to 6 years has proven that to every one of us. So I'm so grateful you're here. And I really want to dive in to answer your questions and give you some context about this lymphatic system.
Wow, you listed so many symptoms, and honestly, floaters is one of the top questions I get all the time. So that's connected to the lymph system. It's crazy to me that we check our blood pressure, we check our intraocular pressure, but I never heard of anyone actually checking or testing or doing a lymph test or whatever, right? We don't talk about it at all. And now you're saying this is actually even more important in terms of the health system. So tell us why. Why is this lymph so important, and what is it actually what it should be doing? Versus you talked a little bit about stagnation, so I'm assuming the opposite is not stagnation, like flowing. But how do we know it's not flowing, like other than all the symptoms, or is that what it is?
It's a great question. So you're right. There are not a lot of great ways to test the lymphatic fluid because we know it's not working well, only based upon symptoms typically. But when I can test it, which I do live blood analysis assessments, so I'm looking at the cells and the spaces between the cells, which is really the lymph, and I do something called contact regulation thermography, or other people might know thermograms. And these are pictures of either just the breast or of the whole body of the temperature. And these are looking at more that subtle energy of the body, which is your lymphatics. So there is now a way to quantitatively assess it. And that is the test that got me so into the lymph, because every single person, whether it was the chronically ill person that had stage 4 cancer and was coming to us because they've been everywhere, and nothing worked and they showed up, or it was that superior athlete that was looking to shave a second off of their performance, and every single person, when I quantitatively assessed their lymph, had very stagnant, inflamed lymph. And then I had to ask why. Well, it's our rain barrel. It collects all the stuff that falls into it. Unless we purposely dump it out, it's not going to dump because it doesn't have its own pumping system. And we think about our heart, right, as the circulatory part of our body that has its own pump. But actually, the lymph is a huge part of your circulatory system. It just doesn't have its own pump. And if something isn't circulating all the way through, it's stagnant. And we see that in symptoms, but we can also see it as puffy eyes. We can see it as lack of range of motion in joints. I talk about arm pits versus arm puffs. You can also have behind the knees can be very puffy instead of pitty. Any swelling, any edema, when you get lines in your body from wearing your clothes, those are all signs your lymph is stagnant.
Wow. I had definitely noticed in the summer, that my legs in the summer when I was standing a lot versus moving around or sitting, that I got that little line from the sock, not, the little, and I wore compression socks. Does that at all help? Or so you listed so many symptoms. I want to kind of backtrack. So from floaters to puffy eyes to I love that. What do you call it? Arm puffs?
Puff versus pits. Armpits, they should be like concave, not convex. And I have a
Right.
12-year-old kid, and a lot of the kids, in the summer, I see their armpits, and I'm like, oh my God, their pits are puffy already. And it's like your trash can is overflowing when it's here.
So that makes so much sense. So we basically need to, and I love the analogy of the rain barrel. So we collect all the stuff and it doesn't have its own pump. So how do we get the lymph draining? And actually, how does it actually drain? How does this even work? I don't see any holes in my body where it comes out?
Oh, Claudia, you took my joke. There's a little valve off to the side. You open up and
And
all
I'm
comes
sorry.
out. No, it's great. I love that. So it is. The thing about the lymph is that, even a medical doctor is getting less than 2 hours of training on this lymphatic fluid that we just talked about. I am a licensed massage therapist now, and so that I can really touch the body. And I thought, honestly, when I went to massage school, there'd be a lot of information about lymph. No, wasn't true. And I was like, oh my gosh, can I teach this class? What are you talking about? There's only 4 pages and there's 27 pages on the endocrine system and 25 pages on the cardiovascular. I could write 19 books on the lymphatic system, folks. And it's not complicated. It's just that we've never been taught it. So it's important to teach, but it works like the rivers. And there's a certain flow. And like water, it flows in one direction. It doesn't backflow, but it does get backed up. And it gets dams just like rivers do. If you leave it to not move, you're going to get stagnant water. Then you're going to get critters like beavers, and they're going to dam it up and use it for their own purposes. This is why people have parasites, why they
Oh,
have chronic infections and bugs. It's laying in your stagnant water. And so there's lymph fluid, and then there's lymph organs and lymph nodes. So lymph fluid, we have 3 times more of than blood. Lymph nodes are tiny little gateways, essentially, that fluid has to go through. And then it eventually, the last nodes that it goes through, these gateways, are right here in our clavicle area. And then they dump down into our heart, into the cardiovascular system. And then we circulate that. And ideally, it also gets what we need, because it is our trash taker outer, but it also mobilizes our fats which we need to get to our brain. So our brain works best to get our neurotransmitters to work. It also allows us, as well as other hormones, it also not only regulates our blood pressure, but also identifies pathogens and toxicants. Where does it do that? When that fluid gets to these nodes, to these little transitions, that's where it does it. And if those nodes, which are deep in the neck, any area we bend, is where they are. We have between 600 and 1,000 nodes. People go, what do you mean? I thought I just had my tonsils and called it a day. No, you have 5 sets of tonsils, actually. It's just the ones that hang down in the back of our throat that we talk about, because when they get swollen, up until recently, it was like, take those out. Well, that doesn't make any sense to Kelly Kennedy. Because if I have a fire in my house, I want my smoke detector to go off so I know to leave my house. But those are the tonsils. They're telling you there's a problem underneath. And because people don't know how to deal with the lymph system up until recently, now that I'm making a bit more of a headway out there and educating, we can maybe stop taking tonsils out and start to reduce the inflammation in the body and not take the batteries out of the smoke detector, because the smoke detector is annoying me. That's not going to help me when a fire is happening, right? And so all these signs are signs that the body's clogged, and there's a very simple way to move through it. So the first thing is knowing that you have access to your own lymph system. You just have to do this really weird thing. Touch yourself. And I can mean that in lots of ways, ladies and gentlemen. However, I
know, Kelly.
I do mean in a intimate without it being sexual, but to touch ourselves and to pump and release. And it's very simple to do. Every single human being can do this, right down to a baby up to an invalid. Because if you can do this, breathe, then you can move your lymph system.
So you're holding your hand on your chest and you're taking deep breaths.
So I'm going to actually say you don't take deep breaths. You watch your breath.
Okay.
Just watch it. But put your hands on your body. Both. I had another hand below. You couldn't see. Put one hand on your diaphragm area, one hand on your chest. And don't try to do anything. Just watch your breath. You can eyes open or eyes closed. And just notice your breath. And when you start to do that, what you notice is it goes a little deeper down into your abdomen. And that's the first thing, is to shift the gear into this deeper parasympathetic healing mode of the nervous system. And diaphragmatic breathing pumps our lymph. It's about expansion and contraction and just watching it. Number 2, can y'all hum? Because we can high hum, or we can hum high pitched or low pitched, right? All the way up the scale. And humming, it might tickle the back of your throat. You might feel a tickle under your nose. You might feel a tickle in your throat. That's actually moving your lymphatic system.
Wow, so, I love that.
Your kids go, oh, I don't want to move my lymph. I go, okay, honey, let's just do raspberries. Wow, that's moving your lymph. Little did you know. So it's as simple as that. Now that's first level. That's like, I'm giving you the steering wheel. There's an entire car, but at least you know how to get the steering wheel to go in the right direction. And it's about... Because you know what you're not when you do that? Stressed.
Makes so much sense.
And if you're stressed, your lymph is in shutdown because you're in fight flight and nothing is moving because your body's in complete freeze. I gotta mobilize. I can't be taking care of chronic issues that are going on right now or self-care right now. I need to make sure I survive. And from testing quantitatively heart rate variability for 20 years, 99% of the people are in sympathetic overtone, and that's going to shut down the lymphatics. So as you open your body up to be in this mode by simply or humming, either one creates a vibration right in that area. And then I teach people, and we'll give you the link for this, where you can actually pump your lymph, and I give you the sequence you should pump that in. because we know everybody wants their face to drain, right? I want my eyes to be less swollen. I want my face to look pretty. I want my box to look so shiny. I'm 52 years old and I do no peptides, hear me say. I do no HRT, hear me say. I don't do any, what else do people do that I don't do? All the things, pretty much. I facilitate my body to heal. I eat whatever I want. I drink whatever I want, although I'd say 99% of the time it's highly frequent water. And I say whatever I want, wherever I want, because I'm safe. And Claudia can attest to that.
Oh,
And
yes. Oh, yes.
that's part of the lymph system, though. And so many of
Having
us
fun.
have not been given permission to just be us. And we have these guards. And it begins with letting those guards down. So right now, you might be only comfortable doing this in your room or in your house or in your car where you're like, nobody's looking. Okay. Whereas, I'm right now doing it on YouTube and in Claudia's community of people I've never met before to just go like, because it's the only thing that matters is my health. And if it makes me feel better, then it makes me better. And I can prove that through science.
That's the true definition of self-care, to be honest. It's like really doing that way. I took a yoga class this morning. We were supposed to do that kind of exhale. And it was four of us. It was a small group, but I was the only one making any noises. But it also took me beyond 50, to be honest. When I was younger, I was much more self-conscious about like not being weird and all these things. So I love that about you, Kelly. Let's talk about the first time I actually met my lymph system was when that was after tonsils were removed, which of course were removed for me because that's what everybody did, right? Because I was too skinny. My mom told me I was too skinny. And the doctor said to remove them, and sure enough, I gained weight. So I still blame my mom. I'm just kidding. But when I had a ear infection or something, and I felt like all these lymph nodes were swollen and tender, that's the first time I got introduced to that. But then I also had somebody say, do dry brushing. And so like things are dry brushing, but then you have to do it exactly in this order. And then I got like, this is too complicated. So I 100% love the easy stuff that you give us. Like it's not complicated. But can we talk a little bit about dry brushing and how to do? Is that helpful?
Please talk about dry brushing. So I also have videos where free I teach you how to dry brush as well, because when I got into this work of lymphatics, real deep work, I started to look at what people were posting. I'm like, don't they know anything about physics and science? That's not how you do this. So make it simple. Okay. I live in Philadelphia. How many of you live where there's traffic? Okay. The rest of you don't live where you're traffic. I'd like to know where y'all live. Please tell me right now. Where do you live? You don't have traffic. Do you all have traffic where you live? Okay. And do you have exits on your highways? Right? Okay. So that's your lymph system. Your exits are your nodes. The lymph is the road, and the traffic is all the inputs you get every day. That could be metals, that could be chemicals, that could be emotions, that could be stimulation from the television, as well as what your husband's trying to tell you, as well as what your kid's trying to tell you, and where were your thoughts, and were they your thoughts, or was it, I'm not keeping up with the Joneses, and I didn't call my mother today, and let me feel guilty about this and that. And that stuff keeps us in, I am in fight, flight, freeze mode. I am in survival mode. Those are the inputs. That's all the traffic. And the point is to get the traffic through the toll booth, through the exit. Now, the way they teach dry brushing is this. They go, okay, you have 50 cars on your road, and you have to get them through that exit. So I want you to start your feet and get the 50th car through the exit. But there's 49 cars in the way. That's how dumb that is. Don't do that.
That's just what I was taught. I was
so dumb.
Okay,
it's so dumb. So here is where your exits are. They will always exit here. This is the last point all lymph goes through before it dumps into your heart. And then your body takes the nutrients and the gases and everything it needs. And you pee, poop, sweat, and bleed out what you don't need after you've breathed out everything else. You will breathe out more toxicants than you'll pee, poop, sweat, or bleed. You will breathe out more toxicants than you will pee, poop, sweat, or bleed. Those are the ways your body gets stuff out. And when we really focus on our depth, not of actively deep breathing, but on witnessing the depth of our breath, we are shifting the whole paradigm because we are in now trust mode. People that are doing breath work are working really hard at being a mammal. I would love for you to relax and recognize you're a divine being having a mammalian experience. And in order for you to live free as a mammal that's no longer in fight, flight, fright, and freeze mode because it's in survival mode, then you need to wrangle your mammal, is what I call it, and override your mind to go, it's safe to go, ah! Whoa, I surprised you there, didn't you? There, eating the food. I surprised you when I screamed, sorry. But that is the point, is to be able to express it. And first we express with movement, like, oh, you know, how many times have you been in a position? I have a 12-year-old. So I express, I would never beat my kid ever in a million years. Won't say it didn't happen to me. I'm just saying I would never beat my own kid. And I have said to him, hear me say this, I feel like I want to hit you right now. I would never hit you, but I want to let you know how much anger is inside me right now that I feel that. Because if I don't say it, then I'm going to end up slamming that door, which is no different. I'm going to walk out of this room and avoid you, which is no different. And I've had to learn all these things because of who I am. I am more passionate, more alive than anybody you've ever met in your life. I can guarantee you that. But I also have to learn how to not intimidate every single person I'm around because of my purity of heart and my purity of speech. And we all get to have same access to this because it's all within us. And by simply acknowledging how we feel and expressing it, we'll start to diffuse the charge on it. And then we'll get so practice at this that no matter the pressure that's up against us, we can stay calm and centered and be able to go, hey, like, I had a very serious emergency last week in my family. Like, somebody's in the hospital for 2.5 days and this doesn't happen in my life. Okay. Serious emergency, wasn't sure what was going on. Had to cancel my whole week. I had been gone for 10 days. My schedule was nuts. I became unable to have help in my family for a minute, and I have a 12-year-old, as I mentioned. So now all of a sudden, I'm in all this stress, and I didn't feel stressed. I was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Every single night, though, when I finally got home, I would get in the shower, I'd turn on the music, and I'd be like, now, I'm on the phone with my mother. My mother, I love her so much. She knows all my buttons and knows how to push them. Do you guys have moms like that?
Oh, yeah, trust me.
And so I have decided that I'm going to bring her home for 3 weeks, which is as long as we've ever spent together, on holidays, so she's not alone. And on the day that I call her, when she knows what I've been dealing with for 8 days now, this was yesterday, and I called her, hi, Mom, I'm really tired, but I wanted to check in on you. How you doing? Set the stage. I'm communicating. I'm really tired. Don't give me any more right now. I'm really tired. She goes, oh, well, if I'm going to come down there for Christmas, are you going to make sure I get these 3 things? And I said, Mom, I really appreciate those things are important to you right now. That is 30 days away. And what I have for you right now is to say hi. And now I'm going to say goodbye. I love you so much. I don't have the capacity right now to answer that question. Okay, love you. Bye. That's nice. Not even probably 2 years ago, there would have been profanities screamed at my mother. There would have been, who do you think you are? Are you completely unaware of what I'm going on? My mother's sick. She's 85. She has dementia. She doesn't understand what's going on. So what good would it be to do me let go on her? Nothing. But when I got off the phone and I was expressing that, when I hung up the phone, I said out loud, Mom, are you really kidding me right now? And I expressed myself without consequence of how I really wanted to say it, without that prim and proper way, because if not, it would have shown up as a disease and illness, which allowed me today to call her and be like, hey, Mom, I know that church is really important to you. And of course, I would never bring you home for a holiday that's important to you to go to church. But I will say I will be taking you on Christmas Eve, not on Christmas Day, to allow you to follow along with your traditions while I follow along with mine. And she goes, well, what's your tradition on Christmas? To not get in a car and be in my pajamas all day, Mom. That is my mission. So I will take you to church the night before and we'll have a lovely time. And then that'll be over with. And now you're in my family tradition, right? This is why I can bring her home for 3 weeks now, because I can handle this. I couldn't have put myself in this position before. And I didn't, because I knew better what I was not able to tolerate. Lymph is really about tolerating. And I'm going off script here because this is an off script week for me, okay? But just know that you have complete access to all the tools you need, even when the house is on fire, for you to go, it's okay. I got to pump my lymph and I can dry brush in the proper sequence. I'm not going to get all caught up in it. I'm just going to start up here. I'm going to remember what Kelly showed me, and I'm going to kind of do this. And I know if I pay attention to it and I exhale more, I can't screw it up.
So that was perfect for Thanksgiving and the holidays, because we've all struggled with these things. And I'm definitely focused, feeling like I don't express myself with my certain family members, like my mother. And so it's really, to me, you talk about flow a lot. So for me, it sounds like the flow is not just the dry brushing and the massaging and all that, but really also letting it out, like your language, in a safe space where you don't hurt somebody. You can like let that out and let that go. And I had speech training many, many years ago where they did have you do this kind of like humming and this kind of like Mickey Mouse voice, and then the deep caveman voice, and then that kind of movement, so that you can actually relax into your voice. So I love that. And in yoga, we do om and we do humming and we do a lot of these things. So I feel like I love how easy you make it, right? How easy you make it, and also how you learn not to get so wound up when we are in these stressful, especially holidays, right? It's like supposed to be this peaceful, quiet thing, but in the end, it ends up, and I had many of those up until last year, where there was this drama and stress. And so I love your tips on that, and how you reframe that. So what are things that people can do today in terms of the lymph? Because I want to come back to floaters also. Floaters is a big deal. And I would love everybody to kind of follow Kelly's tips and notice if there's a difference in terms of how strong these puffy eyes, the floaters. Sometimes maybe even, Kelly, I don't know if you recommend, I like to sometimes take pictures, just like have a memory of how I looked like, and that you wouldn't see that floaters, but just overall, like puffiness and overall experience.
What I
Okay.
say is, and I'm getting better at this, giving you quizzes, but just take a before and after of, like, on a scale of 1 to 10. Do I wake up with energy? Do I go to bed tired? Do I sleep well? That's an idea if your body's in rhythm. And what I teach is a science of regulation, and lymph is a huge access point to that, if not the largest, as well as the fascia. But it's all about following the rhythm of life, right? There are times as a 20-year-old, I had a very different energy level, actually less, because I was living in pain for 3 years. But because I was living in pain, because I was managing grief through my dad's illness and death, and I was also struggling with what I wanted to be when I grew up, because all of a sudden I wanted to be a doctor my whole life, and all of a sudden I was questioning that when I was on 6 medications and my 55-year-old father was dead, and I was putting myself through college. So there was a lot of pressure. And then in my 30s, I was running a clinic, didn't have any idea what I was doing with business, but really loved helping people. But boy, was I stressed when the IRS came in and tried to shut me down because I didn't know you had to pay payroll taxes. Like, I've been through it, kids. And all these things that it was, okay, I've got to find tools to help me continue to expand in my life, because I don't want to stay stuck. I want to continue to open and flow and expand. And so I invite everyone now, if you can, to stand up off of your chair. And if you can't stand up, because I also work with paraplegics and quadriplegics, just imagine this in your mind's eye, because everyone has a capacity to heal. I've had clients that couldn't feel their legs and their arms and couldn't use them for over 25 years. And within 4 days of working with me at our clinic, she has a sensation down her left leg now that she hasn't had in 20 years. And it's growing because she's continuing to put it in practice. Okay, so now you're standing up. Now just go up on your tippy toes and stay there. Now when you come down, gently, don't touch your heels and just bounce without touching your heels on your tippy toes. And now put your arms up over your head. Look at you, lymph experts! So good! Now just let a little exhale out. Feels good, right? That's it. So I'm really stressed. My mom said something stupid. My sister said something stupid. Somebody did something dumb. I go in the kitchen and I go,
I love how easy it is.
Oh, it's just exhaling. I have so many of my clients that tell me, wow, my husband just keeps asking me, are you just going to keep doing that? Walking around the house going, And you know what I say to him? Yeah, until you stop being stupid, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You're so hilarious. I do that actually naturally. I do sigh. I sigh all the time. Just because I feel like maybe I'm doing that naturally just to kind of get rid of that burden. But I also would love to ask you about some tools. So, I bought this. It looks like a dildo. It's my favorite color. You have the orange version. Okay. So this is a lymphatic massager. And just so you know, if for those of you curious, it's not going to be the right job it's the right job for the neck, right? So is it worth investing into some of these tools, or is it basically, you can do the same with your hands, you can do the same otherwise? Like, tell us a little bit, like, and then there's obviously, before you answer, you and I, we go to biohacking conferences, and there's machine, the Flowpresso. It's like one of those suits that you put on, it gets pumped up and it puts a lot of pressure on your system, or the Balancer Pro that even have a jacket, which is really nice. You're laying in there and it goes through these waves of like basically pressuring and releasing you. It's like, I love being in there, but it's like an expensive, a big investment. Is that worth for like, and who, like, tell us a little bit more about these tools, the cheap ones and then the more bigger deal, and also space wise, right? You need space for that. Yeah.
So number one, only licensed practitioners that can diagnose can buy a Flowpresso.
Oh, good to know.
And that's why they're the price point they are, because they are FDA approved for lymphatic drainage. Balancer Pro does not have FDA approval for lymphatic drainage, just so we know.
Okay, good to know.
Flowpresso does. And Flowpresso was created out of New Zealand with my dear friend, Desiree Despong, who also created the Flow Vibes. And what we know to be true is this: pumping your lymph nodes, anybody can do because you have access to it with your hands and you don't need any tools, and it's available to you all the time. But getting the right pressure and the right flow is not the easiest thing, because we're all used to muscles and working hard, and more is more and more is better.
Swedish massage with like lots of pressure, right? Yeah.
And instead, it's about creating a ripple of a wave, and then being able to create that rhythm over and over. And we have found that by giving somebody a handheld tool that does it for you is a little easier. And so you just hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, then hold it at the next node for 5 or 10 seconds, then hold it for 5 or 10 seconds, or you have two and use them at the same time, and you do it bilaterally, and you do it in the sequence I teach, which you're going to get the PDF to show you how to do that. And it's simple and easy, and it takes 2 to 3 minutes in the morning, 2 to 3 minutes at night. I say you brush your teeth a couple times a day, you open your lymph. When you open your lymph, you're going to notice on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I sleeping? How am I feeling? And my energy level. Let's say you have floaters. Let's say you have eye pressure. Then notice every day on a scale of 1 to 10, how are my floaters today? This is a practice, not a pill. So I don't know how much input you're putting on your highway every day. So if you're draining out, let's say 50 cars, but you're putting 100 on, well, then you're just not doing much. You're just maintaining. But if you've reduced your inputs, because you don't have silver fillings in your mouth that are toxing you out, and you're not having blue block, or you're not wearing blue screens all the time because you're wearing blue blockers, you have red light offsetting that blue light, then that's less input and less ways to stagnate your lymph. Now, when you pump your lymph twice a day, you're making movements, you're actually making traction. What I'm going to tell you is that most people are in deep deficiency of lymph stagnancy, and that they probably need to work their lymph on a twice a day basis or more for the next couple of years until they get enough room in the rain barrel, like I have, where it would take a long time for something to happen to me outside of a acute accident, like because I've built up so much space in my lymph system that even with one of the biggest traumas I've been through in my life, outside of me almost dying and my father dying, I went through one that big level stress in the last 10 days. And I took care of myself. I canceled my schedule. I moved my lymph. I have a Floprezo in my house because I'm a practitioner, and I've sold 140 of them. So one sits right over there in my treatment room in my house to say, oh, I've done 3 in 9 days because I know I need a little extra care right now because I'm going through it. And as much as I can express it, I'm feeling much more than I can even express. Then there is in a day. There's enough hours in a day almost, right? So this tool, the blue one has 3 modes. The orange one has 5 modes. All 3 modes of the blue are in the orange. The orange also has a boom, 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 which is great if you have any edemas, you have an injury. You know, when you have an injury and you swell up, that's your natural cast that your lymph system made for you in your fascia. Doesn't mean it should stay there though. So as we mobilize out that, we're actually taking in the things that rebuild bone if you broke a bone, or give you platelets to clot, or whatever the case your body needs. That's all mobilized through the lymph. And if you're not healing well, it's because your lymph is stagnant.
Oh,
So
good
there's
tip. I hurt my toe. I fell down actually in Tampa, the last step of a horribly designed staircase at night in the dark. Anyway, so my left toe, I've been massaging a little bit with this, but not enough probably. Like how many, if you have something swollen, how you said 3 times a day, 2 times a day, like brushing your teeth, something like that?
So no matter where the injury is, you always want to open up the majority of the body, just like if you want to remove the pressure in the head, because we live on gravity, that we actually pressure gradient system. We have to release the pressure in the body to then relieve the pressure in the neck, to then relieve the pressure in the head.
So we
And
start on top. We always
we
start on
always
top.
start here, and then we work through our body, then we do our neck, then we do our head. And if the head is what's swollen, we go there last. If the foot is swollen, we open up the rest of the body, then we focus on the foot, and then we work it all the way back up. So that we opened it up, and then we mobilize it back out. But with like a toe that you broke, or a finger you broke, or something, I know it's uncomfortable, but pain is a lack of oxygen. End of story.
I've been moving it. I've been moving
Pain
it.
is lack of oxygen. So by creating circulation, like when I broke my elbow last year from falling on black ice, which I don't recommend living anywhere cold where there's black ice, but I broke my elbow on January 19th. And by April 1st, I had a clear from my orthopedic who wanted to do surgery, and I said no. I had a clear x-ray going, oh my God, it looks better than it did before you broke it. But I still didn't have full range of motion. I didn't get full range of motion for another 3 to 4 months. And I had to continue to move it until I could actually give it full range of motion.
Right.
But it was in a straight cast for 8 weeks. And then when I went to move it, he took the cast off. I was like, wait, why isn't it moving? Wait, what's happening? I thought you could just do this. You cannot do that with a joint, I found out. You just have to do it slowly. But you have to, because I broke lots of bones, just never that joint before. But moving it, even though it was painful, is what you have to do. So when I've broken my toes, I start to move them instantly, and they heal so much faster.
I did that too. Yeah, that's
It's
good. I'm
teeth.
glad I did
It's
that
teeth.
instant. So what about inversions? So obviously, I love yoga, like even things like down dog, forward fold, handstands, obviously those kind of things. Does that help at all with lymph, or because there's always I used to teach yoga, we would always say, well, with high blood pressure, glaucoma, any of those things, you don't want to do inversions. What about lymph? Is that in any way, shape, or form beneficial to do inversions, or is it something that doesn't really matter?
It's like dry brushing and rebounding, and inversion is all good as long as the nodes are open. So that's why the legacy of Kelly Kennedy is open up your nodes. Because
Open up
it's
your
like
notes.
you're going to dust your house, but you're not going to open up your windows. It's not going to work. And you're not going to relieve the pressure because the pressure is in the nodes because they are clogged. And when you start to open these nodes, you feel it. And then all that fluid rushes in. And it's like somebody saying, oh, if I have cancer, I shouldn't move my lymph. That's a huge sentence said in the United States. And I'm challenging that. So you're not supposed to breathe? Because that's what you just said to me. Don't move your lymph if you have cancer. So stop breathing. Because if you breathe, you move your lymph. So you're not supposed to breathe if you have cancer, because then you'll spread your cancer? No, your lymph is sick, which is why you got cancer. And what you want to do is mobilize your lymph, knowing what you're doing, binding it, and doing it. If you have cancer, don't do this without a practitioner's knowing, because you don't want to be the first person that figures it out. You want to work with somebody that's an expert that has figured it out. And as you do that, it's amazing how the body heals. I had a woman that came to the office, 35, 36 years old, 2 kids under the age of 7, diagnosed with DCIS, stage 1, with a prognosis of chemo, radiation, and double mastectomy. And maybe we could give you 2 years. Her husband is not around and available to the kids, and she has no parents. They're dead. So she's looking at 2 years to get her act together, and then her 7 and 5-year-old might be mommyless. She is a yoga instructor, by the way, who did plenty of inversions and plenty of upside downs and downward dogs and all the things, but she wasn't healing because her emotional body caught in her lymph nodes was not actually mobilizing. So that was February-ish I met her. When we were at the Mastermind Summit in September, we got a call from her that all her PET scans are completely clear. There is no evidence of disease. They can't find the cancer that was supposedly going to kill her 9 months prior.
Wow, that's amazing. So the lymph protocol, and I think tell us how we can, find out more what we need to do. I think you have a 21-day program.
I do.
That
I also have a book. So if you are more interested in like, hey, I want to understand this before I do anything, then go read my book. You can, oh, that's funny.
I don't think we have a
it
link for
it's
the book
gone.
or the 21-day program, but I did put your website into we have it in the show notes on YouTube, and I also put it in the YouTube chat. So
Yes. And my team is sending it to me now. So let me just copy
always
this.
add it in later so that so the 21-day program is something that people can do anytime. Is that true or?
So yeah, so the 21 day is 2 things. I do a launch back down in January is my next time to do it, but it also does live. If you want to do it now, you can. You just have to do it in the non-group model, so it costs a little bit more, but it allows you full access to myself and my team and the practice, and you get access
We see your WhatsApp channel right now.
to the portal. Oh, that's weird. It's not what I
Yeah.
was trying to do. Thank you.
So yeah, so I think January, when does it start in January?
So January 26th is the day that it launches.
Okay.
And here's the chat. That's what I was trying to get to. I'm not the
21
most
days.
technically savvy person. So here is the page where they can look at how to pump their lymph. And then I'm going to get them the 21-day link as well.
Yeah, we will add that into the YouTube show notes afterwards so that we can have all the bits and pieces in there. All right, so Kelly, we obviously my Clear Vision Club, we have a little bit of extra time with you in the backstage. We can ask you direct questions. So thank you, YouTube, for being here. Follow Kelly's tips because I fully agree with we had a family member with cancer, and that was, the emotional stress from another family member. And so it ended up like thankfully caught early. But yeah, the lymph, I fully agree. That makes so much sense. So we know we didn't give medical advice, but reach out to Kelly if you have any questions via her website. And then you also have products, you have the book, you have the 21-day program. And I don't know, are you selling these tools as well, or is that something that they...
Yes, I sell all the tools for them. You can find them on my website
Great.
and you can find them on my Instagram page. And I'm just not the quick person. It's like, here's the links. Honestly, folks, I didn't use a computer for 15 years until COVID hit. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing my job. I got to figure out this part. And so I'm doing the best I can. I can
Doing
help you with
great.
any problem you have. And if for some reason you can't get to me, the technology part, just you want to come work for me if you're technically savvy, let me know. And secondly, I'm looking for somebody to fill that hole right now. Just send us an email and somebody from my team, they're amazing. They will get back to you.
Great. And the email is on your website. They can find it there, right? Okay.
And Kelly
Well,
at the True Wellness Center is my website,
great.
my email.
Well, thank you so much for being here. That was absolutely amazing. I learned a whole lot about lymph that I didn't know, even though I thought I knew a lot. That was amazing. Thank you so much for
Your
being here.
pleasure.
And now we
Thank you,
will
Claudia.
stop YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube. We will have extra time with my Clear Vision Club, and we will have our